So hi everyone, thank you for joining. We're very happy to host today Anna Romanenko, our representative in the office of Ukraine. She's sitting in the embassy in Kiev, and she will tell us a little bit about what's going on and what she hears today in Ukraine and tourism in general. So thank you, Anna, and the floor is yours.
Shalom, I'm happy to welcome you here, and I'm very little bit sorry because long time ago we didn't meet with the trade, but today I will try to describe how was our tourist flow, how was our tourist before the pandemic. Also, I will tell what's going on now. What is the situation? What is the COVID situation? What is the situation with travel trade? What our office do in Ukraine, in Kiev, our activities I will shortly describe. So I can start to share my screen, the presentation. Does it work? Yes. I would like to tell, of course, few words about general information and what's happened this year. This year we celebrate the anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries and 10 years of visa cancellation, which was on the 9th of February. And yes, there is a big potential between our countries, cultural, religious. The tourist flow has been growing every year since the visa cancellation. Of course, now the situation is another one, but Tel Aviv was the top destination from the airport Borispol in Kiev. We had 51 direct flights per week to Israel from Ukraine, from the capital and other main cities. And I wish to tell the great news that this year, on January 1st, the free trade area between Ukraine and Israel took effect. And it's for sure a new level of relations between the countries, and it's the green light to the growth of export and for closer cooperation. And I'm sure you know that Ukraine is the destination of the annual religious pilgrimage to Uman. And of course, from Ukraine, we have a big pilgrim floor of Ukrainian Christians. And tourism from Ukraine represents the 10th place of all incoming tourism to Israel. I would like to share with you, this is the statistics for 3 years, and we can see the average numbers of tourists, excluding day visitors. If we add day visitors, we will have more numbers. And the biggest and the most top year was 2017. Unfortunately, in other years, we could see decreasing. It comes because of some of borders, how to say, issues, which Ukrainian tourists faced in Israel. If we are talking about trade, I will tell that about 8,000 companies, tourist companies, exist in Ukraine. The tourist companies, it's wholesalers and retailers. And the pie of travel trade here in Ukraine consists of about 10 wholesalers, and they have about thousands of retailers. So here is the situation as big wholesalers have all pie of tourist flow of incoming and outgoing.
Anna, what about reservations online in Ukraine?
You mean OTA? Yes, company?
Yes.
Yes, we have a few big companies. I can tell about 3 companies. OTA, Trip My Dream is one of the famous OTA companies. But we don't have so much as in other countries, European countries.
So the market is more classic in the way of behavior and how people make the reservations, right?
Yes, people make the reservation like in classical style by using mostly tour operators. So, for example, you can see the companies Join Up, Coral Travel, TPG to Ukraine. This is the big wholesalers, and they have about 8,000 travel agents in Ukraine which have contracts with them. They have own agencies. For example, to Ukraine, they have 253 TUI shops. It means that it's their franchise network, and they cooperate with more about 8,000 agencies. So if we cooperate with these main top 2 operators, we can tell that we cooperate with all travel trade in Ukraine. For sure, I can add more companies, but I just don't have their numbers of agencies. If we are talking about tourists, B2C audience, we can see that the main factors which influencing the choice of the tour. This is the cost of the tour, reliability of the tour operator. It was, you asked about how they find the tours. They choose a tour operator. Then the choice of the hotel, for sure, preferably in the first C line. And the quality. One second. The quality of the service provided. I would like to show the motivational structure of the tourist flow to Israel. One second. Religious tourism, it's about 25%. But for last years, we can see that the situation is changed. We could say that more tourists choose holiday, leisure, business, medical tourism. But this is the pie of tourist flow to Israel for 2019 year. What tourists prefer from Ukraine? For sure, the tourists continue to expand the geography of their trips. Short trips are very popular to Europe, and I would like to say that Israel has such a famous tourist product, Cities Break, and it was very popular for last years. Main countries which still have leading positions, this is Turkey, Egypt, and it's about 40% share of outbound tourism. A trend of choosing tours that combine sightseeing and beach holidays, it still remains. But Ukrainian tourists try to find a new destination. This year and last year, it was popular domestic tourism, and it still continues to be popular. Niche tourism about like wine and food tours, event tours became more popular. And Ukrainian tour operators should offer customers a competitive tourist product. I mean, of course, it's also about price. And a strong market position will be gained by the players who pay serious attention to working with the tourists, have stable and solid reputation. So tourists continue to choose the tour operator with solid reputation, who is on the market about 10 and more years. But if you are talking about OTAs, I can say that for last years, yes, tourists start to choose analytic approach, research in the internet. They try to find tourists in the internet, and there is a lot of proposals. But again, they want to find a company which can provide them with all they are seeking for. For example, it's still popular to come to the tourist office and to talk with manager, to ask all the questions face by face. And people have started to spend weekends in Europe, as I said before, and also long weekends in Asia. Ukrainians tourists have become more interested in individual tourism. The number of FITs also has increased. I can say that exotic tours are also still popular. Choosing a tour, Ukrainian tourists take more account of personal reasons, search for new experience, feelings, and emotions, rather than follow fashionable travel trends. All this information is from analytic research from Ukrainian, which was published on the Ukrainian governmental sites. If we are talking about COVID situation, we could see the population in millions and information about percentage of vaccinated people. This is nowadays information, but every week we can see that the quantity of people which are vaccinated are increasing. This is, you can see the cases. The question was in the beginning, it's for one day, it's for this day. And now all regions of Ukraine are in the yellow zone. You can see the Ukrainian government has approved such kind of vaccines in Ukraine. And we are under an adaptive quarantine until this month. But I can say that hotels, restaurants, resorts, all are opened. For example, today I'm going to go to another city to have a seminar, so we can make all these public offline events. A few words about domestic tourism. Here in Ukraine exists Safe Travel stamp. Our National Tourism Organization of Ukraine, in cooperation with World Travel and Tourism Council, presented a series of 10 effective recovery protocols. These protocols works for restaurants, hotels, and optimize sector-wide recovery efforts. And these protocols are published of such tourism fields: aviation, tour operators, hospitality, airports, convention centers, and MICE, car rental, insurance, and attractions. It looks, you can see, it looks like this sign. So, for example, a hotel should have such kind of sign, and it means it's global safety stamp, like safety travel protocols. About the variety of activities which we do with trade here in Ukraine. It's joint marketing agreements, trade seminars, and workshops. This year we have in Kyiv big offline seminar, but before the lockdown. Tomorrow I will have a big trade seminars in the city Dnieper. We participated in the international tourism fairs in Kyiv, Kharkov, Lviv, Odessa. This year, the big international tourist fair, UITT, it was on the 12th of May. We can participate, we can have meetings with trade. So in the autumn, it's also planned to have in Kyiv the annual tourism fair. Medical conferences, it's more popular here in Ukraine, and we also participate with presentations, with stands on these fairs. Road shows, cinema days, you can see on the photo that, for example, we meet in the big Kyiv's cinema and make a presentation here. All of these people are the representatives of big tour operators and travel agents. Tourism events, ceremonies. Before we had annual Israel Forum, which was very popular, and Israeli companies, participated in these events and have the possibility to make presentation, to meet with local trade. And we have touristic club introduced in Israel, where we inform our trade about official information, about the news, and we have always non-official parties, degustations, master classes of different culinary activities. Here is my contacts. Yes, our office is located in the embassy, and I'm always open for the dialogue. I'm at your disposal, and I will be happy to answer on the question. Maybe I missed something. So, Efrat.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really interesting. I wanted to ask regarding the Christians that you talked about in the beginning of the presentation. Are people in Ukraine getting more and more religious, or in the contrary, how is it going in the cities or outside the cities?
It depends on it is a variety of religious people here. We have Greek Catholic Church, Orthodox Church, and if we are talking about West Ukraine, yes, people are religious. Sunday is, if there is some religious holidays, they go to the church, they don't work, they are very religious, and pilgrim flow from Ukraine, mostly from the west of Ukraine. I mean, if we are talking about pilgrim flow from Ukraine to Israel. If we are talking about central Ukraine, Kyiv, people more choose another kind of tours, excursions, sea, medical, business. So,
yes. Sorry. Go ahead, sorry.
I would like to tell that 10 years ago, when I was starting my job here, about pilgrim tours and religious tours from Ukraine to Israel, it was about 50%. But today, this year, last year, I can tell about 25% of religious tourism.
Two issues that I would love to hear your input. One is the issue of people who are arriving and being rejected by the immigration here. How big is it, and how much is that an issue that, and if you can tell us numbers. The other one, that how many of, I mean, I understand that something like a third of the tourists are daily. I mean, they are coming and living within 24 hours. Out of the total, what is the number of those who are coming to visit relatives and family?
About relatives and families, before a few years ago, it was about 30 till 40%. Last statistics tells about 23 or 27%. About the first question, I don't have this statistic. I need to check with our council department.
And as far as you hear.
Sorry?
I'm saying as far as you know, how big
is it an issue? Is it an issue?
Do you mean deportation from?
Yeah. Is it an issue that the people are being rejected when they're arriving?
2 years ago, they have more cases of such issue, but last year, 2019, our tour operators reported that they don't face with such kind of issues for last year. But in 2018, yes, it was about, I don't have numbers of these deportations. And about statistic, you had the questions about daily tours. No, I'm not agree, because 7-10 years ago, the daily tours was about 30% of all tourist flow. But nowadays and last years, it's about 15%.
אוקיי. עוד שאלות? בעיות? טענות? שאלות שלא קשורות לאוקראינה? אתם המאושרים בבני אדם, אתם מבסוטים, אין שאלות, שקטים.
כנראה שהכל בסדר.
שלא יעבור המשבר.
I would like to add that I have a lot of calls from Ukrainian tour operators. They all are waiting to come to Israel. Ukrainian tourists are waiting so much. They want to have cooperation as it was before. So we are waiting for this.
Yeah, the same for us. We are just trying to restart. Maybe with the new government, things will come into order, and we might be normal again, at least for a half a week every week, at least a few days. So I thank you very much for the presentation. Hopefully we'll see people coming back also from your country. לכל המשתתפים המאושרים, תודה רבה לכם, ולהתראות.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.